We always want what we don't have, but occasionally our wishes are granted. This could be a new job, an imposing 5'10" goth girlfriend, or a 300 horsepower all-wheel drive manual hot hatch. And only after our desires are fulfilled will we know the truth. Contrary to what some believe, a purpose-built, heavily boosted 1.6-liter inline-3 is more than enough to motivate a 3,300-pound hatchback. It's hard to find something new for 40 grand that's quicker than this, but that's not the point of the GR Corolla. To evaluate anything, you need to know its purpose. I would recommend using sandpaper for woodworking or paint projects, but I wouldn't advise that you replace your toilet paper with it. Toyota may have thrown a sick wide body kit and some functional vents on a Corolla, but in the end, it's a Corolla, and that's not a bad thing. Now, you do have some nice features like standard LED headlights and fog lights, available parking sensors, proximity unlock and lock. They even threw in a full digital gauge cluster, some mildly sporty seats, and a mechanical handbrake, but most of the cabin here in the core grade will remind you of its Econobox origin story. Its materials are basic, the fit and finish is just okay, the aesthetic is largely drab, and you'll need to trust the aftermarket if you want a center console. But there is some light to this. It's easy to use. You have physical buttons and dials to control most functions. The infotainment system is also stripped down with wireless CarPlay too. And you'll find a few nice amenities with the premium trim, my favorite of which is the ultra suede and leather seating from the Circuit Edition. I also love the GR steering wheel. Overall, she's basic with the occasional special touch, which is exactly what I would expect from a Corolla with a performance persona. The speed is impressive. We're talking 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat without 1 foot rollout. For similar money, you can get cars that are quicker, but after 10,000 miles, I don't find myself yearning for more power. And the engine has this power band that doesn't die out until like 6,500, 7,000 RPM. And on its way up there, you have the sound. It's like an offbeat inline 6. It kind of sounds rumbly and upset when you're at low RPMs chugging around town. But the way it transforms when you open it up is far better than any boosted 4-cylinder Toyota. The turbo noises make for additional entertainment. The giant brakes and grippy tires also haul this to a stop in a smooth, assertive manner. You can tell Toyota put a level of passion into the GR Corolla that has been missing from the brand for a while. It was built in their special Motomachi plant that produced cars like the 4th generation Supra and Lexus LFA. It may not have the soul of either of those cars, but it has a distinct one for itself. You do have automatic rev matching if you want to use it, but I've found with larger feet it's pretty easy to heel toe downshift, and the all-wheel drive system is unique too. While it'll never do a true locking function where 70% of torque will always be sent to the rear, you can tell it to send up to 70% of that power to the back, helping it rotate a little bit better around corners, and you can feel that happen. The steering in sport mode has a substantial weight to it, yet it's still light enough to feel very playful. It's precise. You can rotate the car very easily using the brakes, while the steering does pump a little bit of feedback through to my hands. It's not as communicative as what would be ideal, and the same could be said about the transmission. Only when you're at higher RPM and really under duress can you feel the engine through your left foot. Same goes with the shifter. It's smooth with a slight notch as it goes into each gear, but it doesn't have that satisfying clickiness of a Honda or Mazda. Even around hard corners when you're pushing the car, it feels like an extremely quick Corolla, and there is some body roll. This does react quickly to my inputs, but not the same way that a lighter, ground-up sports car like the GR86 would. The all-wheel drive system also tends to overheat if you're even coming close to hot lapping the car on a track for 10-20 minutes. I haven't personally run into that, but it's well documented, and you'll need to address that in the aftermarket if you really plan on taking this thing out. But on a regular back road, it's direct steering, stable platform, insane grip, and firm suspension give you dangerous levels of confidence. And that applies anywhere. Tone it down, and the Corolla is passive aggressive. So you do actually have an anti-stall system, which makes this really easy to drive in the city. The clutch is pretty numb, so you'll just have to remember where the bite point is, but once you get it down, the pedal isn't very heavy. The shifter glides into each gear.
The hill hold feature also works remarkably well.
And it comes with the modern safety equipment that you would get with any other Toyota, so adaptive cruise, blind spot monitoring, lane centering, all of it works well. The only problem is that it doesn't reward you at all for regular city driving, and on some roads, it's only going to punish you. The suspension is firm, like the price of that RX-7 with a blown engine on Facebook Marketplace. As a result, the ride quality suffers. Even on broken pavement, the GR Corolla is insanely sure-footed. You're just gonna sacrifice your comfort on poorly paved roads. This is unforgiving. Not the worst that I've felt. I think the old Ford Focus RS was a little bit more rough, but if you've driven that car, you know that's not saying a whole lot. There's also no adaptive dampening, but on the plus side, there's less to go wrong. You also have 18-inch wheels here, which have a little bit more sidewall than most competitors. I'm avoiding most breaks in the pavement to protect my own spine and not necessarily the rims. And from what I've tested, the all-wheel drive system works really well. It even got me through a tough Michigan snowstorm on stock summer tires. Pulling up to highway speeds, at 65 miles per hour, you're gonna be pushing 2,700 RPM. There's quite a bit of tire noise, but on the freeway, the ride isn't too choppy. I think a lot of dedicated enthusiasts will be able to drive this daily. It's just a matter of where you live and how tough you are. And how big of passengers you carry. I'm 6'3", and while I can find a comfortable driving position up front and the rear seat has okay support, legroom will be tight, and a colossal car seat will give this trouble. While you can fold the seats flat, and a hatch is nice to have, the cargo area isn't too road trip friendly, especially if you have more than one passenger. And if you drive alone, you'll be stuck listening to the interior rattles. I even went on an afternoon hunt to try to locate all of the rattles within the doors and fix them with Kilomat, to only halfway succeed, for then the touchscreen to start rattling.
As frustrating as that is, no big reliability issues have popped up in the first year, and at least the Turbo 3 and 6-speed have proven to be robust overseas. Even the power plant does sound unrefined at low speeds. In several areas, the GR feels cheap.
And that sounds like a big downside to the GR Corolla, but its goal is to be a road-going rally car, like the ones that I grew up drooling after. It's a plastic box with an abusive suspension and stupid power. While not the most capable car on a track or the best enthusiast car for fun, it's confident in any setting while retaining versatility in truly compact dimensions. It's not a mainstream small crossover. The cheapness, its lack of forgiveness, are all a part of the experience. And it brings back nostalgia for cars like the Ford Focus RS or the old Lancer Evolution.
And I can say that I am pleased after 10,000 miles. Dealerships soiled the hype for a lot of initial buyers though, including myself. It took like 30 calls in several weeks for me to find one at a couple grand over MSRP, with BS paint protection too. If I didn't have the channel, I would have some regrets over the money I spent. Currently, these are hard to find at MSRP, but far from impossible, and I think the effort is worth it. After the infatuation wore off, I was left with a performance car, but also a Corolla. It is a 42 grand econo box, but that's made it easier for me to accept life. Rock chips, road debris and mishaps, plastic scratches, they don't scare me anymore. This gets used daily, rain or snow, and is a regular source of smiles in almost any setting. The gas mileage is surprisingly good too. The relative simplicity of it, the character of the engine. Cars like this won't exist much longer. Is it a smart financial move? Probably not. Will it be a comfortable daily? Definitely not. Will most people think it's a regular econo box? Yeah. Does it really matter though? This is an emotional purchase, something I bought because it was practical and forgiving enough. It was a stretch, but my budget could handle it, and I'm okay if only select fanboys show me love. The GR Corolla is a flawed car with the soul of a garage build and capability that gives me confidence I'm not used to. I get to drive various vehicles for a week at a time. All of them are more comfortable and have their own appeals, yet every time I wave them goodbye, I'm happy to grab the keys of the Corolla. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like to help me surprise the pesky YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fun, detailed car content. Check out my Patreon for an additional podcast, and I'll catch you in the next one.